Good morning. We have a ton of background noise today. I might adjust the microphone and see if I can fix that. This side, the printer behind me is running at full tilt, so maybe we can adjust a little. It might be a little better. It looks like it's still picking up a ton of white noise. Oh well. I realized after I hit go, the graphic is wrong. It shows a context, but we are doing Leica R today. So I'm going to jump right into that. Got a couple people already joined in. Adelson, good to see you. So we're going straight into a 19mm version 1. This is heavily used, so I'll go over some of the stuff I look for because I get that question often. Already has a mount, so someone installed that. It was not us, but not declicked and no other mods. So just the mount has been done. So right off the bat, you can see all of the edges are worn out. All of the anodizing is worn off. Let me refocus here for you. So all this silver finish on every single edge. This is exactly what I mean when I say a lens that was thrown in and out of a bag over the last 40 years. It's not to say that it's not a good lens and it's not a good deal. I'm sure this person got a good price, but it has definitely been heavily used. Right away I could see some scratches on the rear element. Let's see if I can get closer here. See that big one right in the center? You can easily see that. That could affect the image pretty significantly. The front element looks good, not great. So, focus is heavy but consistent, so that's nice. I like to see that. There's no grinding, there's no snags. And the iris it's sticky. It's very sticky, so I suspect when we pull this apart, that lubrication is going to be all gross and dried up. So let's find out. Turn my music down here, sorry. I don't know, the printer just got really loud. It's probably doing a solid layer, so the fan's running full tilt. Okay. So whoever installed this mount, I could tell they did it according to the instructions from Leica, because they skipped these two screws. I don't know why Leica recommends that. Hey, Mr. Salami, good to see you. I don't know why Leica recommends that. I don't. We use all 6 screws. There's no thread locker on these, so whoever installed it probably just threw them in. There's nothing, which is fine. Yeah, so they left 2 of the original screws in, which is how Leica actually recommends it. Again, I don't know why. I don't. We do have the original baffle, so let's get that out first. So that looks like original paint on the screw, which means this lens has not been serviced. Ever. But the baffle's not broken, so that's a step in the right direction. Yeah, that looks all original. I saw an LPL mount to Leica R. Do you have this mount? Have you tested it? I'm not sure which one you're referring to. From Leica? LPL to Leica R. Is this an adapter that goes onto the lens? If so, that's probably not doable. If it's an adapter or a replacement mount for a camera, that's very doable. Okay, so our start of our iris diagnosis. This is all kind of cruddy. Not bad though. Let's get the spring out of there. So this is where I expect to see some dried up. Yeah, there's almost none. I don't know if you can see that, but this is all pretty dried up. There's almost nothing there. See? That's what makes it really sticky and inconsistent. We got a little bit of oil residue from the old grease, but for the most part it's just dried up. So the internal movement itself actually feels okay, so we don't have to pull this out and re-lubricate it. It's got a little bit of a noise to it, but it doesn't have that downward pressure from the mount, so I can't judge it too much. Maybe I should get an autofocus lens here. Alright, cleaning time. It's a lens mount, says Adelson. Who makes said lens mount? This is a very early model. A couple things are a dead giveaway. This surface doesn't usually have this little chamfer on here. I don't know if you could see that at all. And these pins are usually silver, not black. So that is concerning. I do not know what's causing that sound. This is the kind of thing that you won't see until you open the lens. So we might end up having to take this out, depending on how it feels once the mount is back on. In fact, we could run it dry and see if it makes the same sound. So there's practically no grease on there. Going back to Adelson's question about LPL mount. Ugh, look at that. That's gross. That's just caked up old grease, dried up. LPL mount. So converting one of these lenses, a Leica R, or any of the reflex style still lenses, so Leica R's, ice contacts, anything like that. If you do convert it to LPL mount, then you're kind of stuck. You can only use it on LPL mount cameras. So I don't really recommend that unless you need to have a direct to LPL option. But it's listed on eBay, Leica R to LPL. Alright, let's take a look at that in a minute. Actually, we'll probably do that towards the end of the stream. We'll do maybe some lens hunting, see what the Leica R's are currently going for. I don't think I'm going to buy anything because I don't have any interest in buying more Leica R's. but we can at least see what's out there. See. That's not good. So we put pressure on it, it doesn't do it. Or at least not as much. So putting the mount on it might solve that. We'll find out. Worst case scenario, we pull out the internal mechanism and re-grease all of that. Actually, I could probably use a little bit of leftover grease just on those internal. Yeah, that feels better. All right, we'll keep an eye on it. Oop, we got a little tissue residue in there. I'm not going to stay too late today. We have the Academy Sci-Tech Awards tonight, which should be a lot of fun. I don't know when they actually announce the winners. I know they show like a tiny segment during the actual Academy Awards, the Oscars. But I don't think they go into any detail. After Leica R, what are the 3 most requested Cine-Mods? Cine-Mod? Probably Zeiss contacts. And it used to be ZF2 and the classic and the Milvis. Those have kind of slowed down a little bit in favor of other vintage lenses. So probably FDs and Mimiyas, I think. The Mimiyas were kind of a good secret, and then word got out. Now the prices are jumping up a lot. Hey Phil, if I switch out the Aton mount to PL from a 2/3 inch to Super 16 adapter, what? Would I also need to collimate/shim it, given that the back focus on the Zeiss Digizoom ENG lenses are easily adjustable? Well, if you're swapping out the mounts, I assume you're swapping them to the correct flange distance, in which case you would be accommodating any difference. But yeah, you'll probably still need to do some. Oh. So once we put the mount back on, we'll know for sure if that's going to be a problem. I don't think it will be, because when I put that pressure on, it's fine. Mamiya heart. Yeah, I really can. I can't take credit for starting the Mamiya trend. Phil Holland came to me with his set probably, I don't know, geez, Phil, was it like 5 years ago or more? 5 or 6 years ago. A decade of 2013, Jesus. Okay. I was a little off. Yeah, it was a while. Yeah, this weekend is Academy Awards, and then next weekend we got our ASC Awards. It's awards season for cinematography, for sure. I have Mamiya set 35, 45, 55, 85, 110, 150, hunting the 70. Skip the 70, get the 80, in my opinion. Unless you want the macro. I think the 70 is the macro, if I'm not mistaken. Alright, let's get this reassembled, put the baffle in the right spot. That's still dirty. Where are you these days, Phil? Oh, I have the 81.8. Good. That's everyone's favorite, but that's also the most common lens to have that separation, or that fogging issue in the rear group. It took me months to find a clean 81.9. In town for AS. Oh, good. I will see you there. Time to pull out the monkey suits. Is it a wider option on the Mamiyas than 35? Not really. There's a 24, but it's a fisheye, so it doesn't work well in the set. If you're intending on getting a set, or building a set to rehouse with TLS, I believe they are doing a modification to the 35 that brings it to a 20-something non-fisheye. So that's probably your best option, but that requires a full rehousing, which is a whole different price point. This year is interesting for awards. Usually the Academy and the ASC are pretty well synced up as far as nominees for cinematography. But this year there's a pretty big difference. For example, The Batman was nominated for an ASC award for feature film, but not for an Academy Award, which is really strange. And then there was one, the opposite, that got snubbed at the ASC. I can't remember. But yeah, that'll be really interesting, because I know there's a lot of fans, especially in this community with the mods and the DIY for the Batman because of the lenses they used. So that'll be really interesting to see how that pans out. A solution for a wider rectilinear glass from Mamiya was tapping into wide and ultra-wide primes from FF35 that are tilt-shift optics. Ah. So like the Canon, what was the Canon, 24 or 28, something like that? $17. Oh wow. Yeah, but it's pretty slow. All right. That looks good. I don't want to... I want to stress test this iris ring, but I think I have to assemble the whole thing before I can get a good reading. I have a 15 as well, but at that format size. Yeah, I mean, if you're pairing the Mamiyas with a full frame or LF camera, you could throw in something like the like Phil just said, it's a big discrepancy, but like a Zeiss 15, it's not going to match perfectly well. The Zeiss 15 is going to be a lot cleaner than the Mamiya, but it's an option. Honestly, you're probably better off pairing a Nikkor full frame lens with the Mamiyas than you would be pairing the Zeiss 15. So like that Nikkor 28 or 24, I think it is. There it goes. Oh, these are slotted. I always forget that. Of all the screws on this lens, these are probably the most difficult just because of how small they are and where they're located. How's the front rear looking on that 19? The rear is scratched pretty badly. The front looks pretty clean. Okay, I don't hear that clicking sound at all, so I think we're okay. Phil, I want your opinion on who you're rooting for the ASC award. Oh, you know what? I just realized because of how this person installed their mount, they did not send in the rest of the screws for the Leica mount. So 2 of these screws are the original. I don't know if you can see that. This one on right here is longer. That's the one that comes with the Leica. That's the original Leica R mount screw. So I have to reassemble it the way they did it. Because they didn't send in those proper screws. So it'll go out the way it came in. Ooh, controversial. Claudio with Top Gun. That'll be very interesting. There's been a lot of politics around that, and what lenses were used to shoot that film. That's our top. There's Leica, so that goes there. Okay. Loxia was only used for some of the cockpit cameras. They did not use Loxia for A-cam content. The cockpit stuff was Loxia and Voigtlander. The air-to-air stuff was almost all on the Fujinon zooms, and then pretty much everything else was Sigma primes. Anything that was not aerial, all the dialogue, all the A-cam stuff. Bardot could take it. Yeah, that was. I didn't see it, but I saw a lot of the highlights from it. Deacons, you could work on him. Empire, like I think that got thrown in there because of Deacons. Batman, yeah, it's a tough one. It is a tough one. I would be amazed if Top Gun wins the Academy Award for cinematography. But ASC awards, I don't know. Yeah, see, the Loxia thing is the big misconception. There was so much press around the lenses used. There's so much infighting. Zeiss wants their name to be in there. Fujinon wants their name to be in there. If it was such a big movie, all the lens manufacturers wanted to have their name in there. So it behooved Fujinon and Zeiss and Sigma to talk up their own lenses being used. And if you look back at Claudio Miranda's track record, he's been a Fujinon guy for a long time. So, you have to talk to the guys that actually shot content to know what was actually used on set. It was the same issue they had with Avatar. Fujinon didn't necessarily want everyone knowing that the highest cost film of the decade used little tiny Fujinon MK lenses. So a lot of it's politics. If you can hear the crashing in the background, that's cases, not lenses. Oh, Frank is here. Hey, Frank. You get a lot of extra sounds today. You got the warehouse staff right on the other side of this wall. You got the printer going full tilt. Don't tell people I should be working. I won't tell. Top Gun 2 used Master Prime for music zooms, additional Fujian zooms, Loxia, Sigma, and a smidgen of Lightlander. Yeah, there you go. I actually don't know where they used Master Primes. I'd be curious to know. The couple of guys I spoke to that were actually on production didn't mention Master Primes. I know it was on the list. Sigmas are used for wides, masters for mediums and close-ups. That would check out. That would make sense. Alright, moment of truth. Let's see if our squeaky sound is still there. It did it once. There it is. If I go slowly. Alright, so that's going to have to come apart. I'm going to have to dive deeper into that. There's a lot of other little issues with this lens. There's a pretty severe haze around the rear. I don't know if it's going to show up at all on there. Not really. But, yep, okay. Actually, let's see. This won't show my notes, so I can't tell. But, yeah, we're going to finish this one up with the gear and then call it done. Or not done, but dive into it later. So, gear we have, front ring and cap we have. Between Leica R and Mamiya, which one is better built and holds up more to Cine-Mod? Ooh, that's hard to say. I don't know that one is built better than the other. I'm inclined to say that the Leica R are slightly more robust just because they are an all-metal build, whereas some of the Mamiyas have a plastic body. But that does not make or break a lens. Already had an EF mount. Okay, so this one's going to go in purgatory until we can solve that little rattling problem. Yeah, if I pull on it, it does it every time. Plastic got a bad rap in the modern era. They went from metal to plastic body to save on weight. Yeah, exactly. The internals are the same. Almost all the same. Very, very minor differences in the glass. I personally like the plastic versions of the Mamiyas. The N models. They are significantly lighter, and it's just unbelievable how light those lenses are for what they are. So here's our next one. The lens was sent without a cap, which is a big no-no. Do not ship lenses without caps. Or at least not if you value your lenses. Alright, so this lens right off the bat is in much better condition. It's missing the red dot. That's no big deal. Some people care, some people don't. Focus is pretty consistent. Iris feels good. That still has some lubrication in it. Glass is in pretty good shape. It's got a little scuff right there. Frontal limit looks very nice. There you go. You get a nice reflection there. You probably can't see the scuff. It's very, very minor. And almost no brassing on the mount, which means it was not taken on and off frequently. And all the anodizing is great. The original paint looks great. Just a tiny, tiny bit of discoloration. But overall, really nice. 1978. Let's find out. I'm gonna check your records there, Phil. All right. 24 ending in, actually let's find that first. 24 millimeter 2.8. 2905. 29. So this is somewhere between 1974 and 1990. And according to my database, this should be a Series 8 front. Let's see what we have here. This is a 60 mil. So is that wrong? No? Interesting. So my database is not accurate in that regard. Let me correct that. 60 or Series 8. So at some point in that 1974 to 1990, they switched the filter thread. According to this, I don't have a focus ring diameter. Let's grab that while we're here. .672, which is makes sense. The latest version that goes up to 2000, mid 2000s was 2.675. And lastly, do I have a weight? Should be 420 grams. Nope. 361, which is what I get on the later version as well. Let's modify that. Okay. Okay, that's all my data. I think. 1970 equals 288, blah, 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 blah. Okay. Adelson, I have a shot over an Angel. Oh, nice. You're the first person to acknowledge the Cine Pen archive. That has been a really fun project. It started, honestly, it started as almost a joke. I was just cleaning out old stuff. All right. I will happily accept those and add them to the archive. All right, let's start digging in here. I actually have, let's see, I just got a shipment from Airy Rental with a bunch of Airy pens, and then Cook, Michael Naddis, who's the U.S. technician, brought back some pens from Cook, from the factory, which is pretty awesome. Is it only pens or pencils too? I mean, it was only going to be pens, but I have the Tribe 7 pencils, so I figured I can't not include Tribe 7. So yeah, pencils too, even though it's the pen archive. I couldn't call it the Cine Writing Apparatus archive. So I'll happily take pencils. I didn't know Schneider made pencils. Oh, I gotta keep track of time today. What time is it? Almost 11. Okay. I have to leave on time to get ready for that dinner. Yeah, so far the only pencil in there is the Tribe 7. Actually, let me see if I could pull that up. That, you guys might enjoy that here. It might be a little too geeky. I don't know. I haven't done a screen share on a live stream in a while, so I'm not sure if it'll work. Let's see. There it is. Alright, so there's all the pens so far. The pencil stands out because it's super thin. But there you go. There's the Tribe 7 Blackwing. They came in as super cool. I mean, it's typical for Blackwing pencils, but it's different for a lens company. Anyways, point being, yes, I'll happily accept pencils. There's so much random stuff. I haven't even added, there's probably like 10 more to add. So, there you go. Alright. Let's get this baffle out of here. So this is what I want the grease to look like when I'm taking apart a vintage Leica. It's still nice and fluid, still very viscous. Let's get our spring. Oh, actually, I take that back. I'll show you this in a second. So, oh, I can't see my preview here. All of this junk is bad. Actually, you can't even see it on there. If I scrub this spot, there you go. See the difference and the stuff that came off of it? That's not good. It's just old and worn out. It's not bad, it's just not good. Almost no lubrication on there. See, this is what I was saying before. Usually this surface, oh, my bad. I keep doing that. Thank you, Michelle. This is what I expect to see on most Leica Rs, where this has been machined after it's been anodized. So that other one, that 19mm, did not have that. Yeah, this has a lot of buildup, a lot of debris on it. That's much better. Get into the bottom of my Kim wipe box. I know there's only so much to get from testing, but it looks like RB is the easy favorite this year. The RB. Oh, you're talking about Formula One. Red Bull, yeah. They definitely stood out from the crowd. But I'm not getting ahead of myself. The other teams, especially Mercedes and who else did really well? Aston Martin, they could be sandbagging. So I'm not going to count my chickens. And I suspect neither will Red Bull. They're not going to, what's the phrase, rest on their laurels. They know they've got work to do. They know they've got to fight to maintain that title. But yeah, testing, at least for Max, looked really good. I don't know if Checo actually had any seat time. I think that was a bit of a point of contention, but I trust that Red Bull knows what they're doing. Nice and clean. I'm missing a tool that I need. Oh, there it is. Max doesn't know how to... No, he doesn't. Do you believe in a launch of a new Zeiss Otis to complete this set? Do I believe in it? I wish there was a new Otis. As far as inside information, I have nothing. Zeiss has not made a peep at all about any Otis lenses in the pipe, sadly. But to their credit, they know that I'm a personal fan of Zeiss Otis, and if I were Zeiss and their marketing team, I wouldn't tell me, because they know that I would leak it. So it's not to say that they are or they aren't, only to say that I wouldn't know. I would love to see a 35 mil. Yeah, if they were going to release one, they would probably give it to someone like Phil to test. So pressure Phil Holland. That's a tricky one though, because what Zeiss considers the market for those is not what we all consider the market. So if Zeiss did have a new Otis lens, they wouldn't even... They might not even include their cinema division. They might only tell their photo division. And then they would be the ones responsible for field testing and getting it out in the hands of shooters to provide content and whatnot. There's still a gap in that chain, you know. Zeiss doesn't realize that it's probably going to be more popular with cinema people than it is with photo people, or vice versa. I don't know what the photo world demands of that lens, and I'm biased. Oh, that's sad to hear, Phil. I hadn't thought of that, but you're right. What was our last still lens? The 35 Milvis, I think? Maybe? Cine just got the rights to produce RF manual, folks. Ah. That'll be interesting. I can't wait until we see some more RF mount lenses, manual focus RF mount lenses. So I do know that Cine had been poking around years ago about cinema lenses, but I can't imagine that they would release something under their own name, under the Cine name. It would be under Zeiss or Voigtlander for sure. Personal take, cinema or still, the 50 Otis is the best 50-ish prime Zeiss has ever made. Yeah, I would agree with that. I'm surprised that that 3D print is still going. Hey Matthew, what is your opinion on the Tokina Vista full-frame cinema lenses? I think they're a fantastic option if you're looking for high-speed full-frame cinema lenses. They're basically a blank canvas. They're clean and accurate, and you can dial them in exactly how you want with filtration or in post. The only downside to the Tokina Vistas is their size and weight, which may not be a downside depending on what and how you're shooting. These are always the first part to break on a Leica R. It's such a small... It's a plastic molded part, but it's such a thin joint. They break so easily, especially over time they get brittle. Masterbuilt is a Tokina Vista with a custom coating. I can't openly talk about that legally. I get threats from Masterbuilt. Just for talking about them. So that should tell you all you need to know right there, actually. Oh, these are a little hard to start. All right. Oh, that print is almost done. There. That should be slightly better audio, I hope. I saw your lens breathing test with Tokina lenses. Yeah, that was one of their talking points up front, was that the focus breathing was very well controlled. It's not non-existent. Like, there is still some focus breathing, but it's very well controlled, like I said. More thread locker. Late to the party, 3 a.m. out here in Singapore. Masterbuilt as in their M Vista. I can't talk about... I shouldn't talk about Masterbuilt. You guys can all talk about him. I'm paranoid that he or his lawyers are going to pop into the mod stream and ask a question and then send me another, Anyway, you get it. You can all talk about it in the stream, in the chat. I don't want to say anything, especially on a live, or on a recording, because I don't want it to come back and bite me. But again, that should tell you everything you need to know. I'll gossip all you want about Zeiss and Cosina and Airy and their manufacturing, but I don't dare talk about Masterbuilt on a recorded video. Should I always use Loctite when I put back screws into lens? Depends on where the lens, or where the screw goes. If it's a screw that you don't want coming out, then yeah. But there are definitely cases where I wouldn't use Loctite, or at least I would use a different type of Loctite. If it's an internal screw and I'm concerned about seepage or outgassing or something, then I wouldn't use Loctite brand. I'd use probably 3-bond or a different adhesive. This one has a clicking sound also. Very interesting. Has some nice machining there. How do the Digiprime/Zoom compare to the Master Prime/Zoom or Ultra 16s? They seem pretty tempting given the 95%-ish discount from the No Man's Land status. That's a good question. The Digiprimes have almost nothing in common with Master Primes or the Ultra 16s. The Ultra 16s are definitely going to be the lowest on that totem pole. They're more or less based on the Ultra Primes. They'll match well with Ultra Primes. Master Primes are going to be much cleaner than Ultra Primes. The Digiprimes are some of the cleanest lenses you could possibly get in their time, and potentially even today. But you're extremely limited on what formats they'll work with, formats and mounts. So those are all in a B4 mount. So in theory, you could use a B4 to PL adapter that has some optics, but then you're going to lose some image quality. You're going to increase your focal length. You're going to lose some light. And at that point, is it worth it? Or are you just treading water? You have to consider those compromises. So, very hard to say. That print should be done any minute. Noticing my Rokinon 50mm focus ring is quite stiff compared to the others in the set. Is it because it's moving more glass/plastic? I wonder if higher end glass are more consistent. Definitely. Definitely. There's a couple things that contribute to that. Higher end glass should be more consistent, for sure. It's not always, because that's kind of a vague term, high end. But yeah, you get what you pay for. The glass in the Rokinons is relatively heavy compared to the mechanism that's moving it. Those don't run on threads; they run on a cam system. So that can be really difficult and inconsistent if the cam is a really steep cam. There's not really any fix for that. It kind of is what it is, especially if the lens has taken a hit or maybe has been bumped really hard. That can easily throw out the feel of the focus. Project V35 is still available for purchase, or has it sold out? You can't purchase it from Duclos. We just do the labor. You purchase the lenses, or you send your lenses in to be modified through Northwest Camera Co. So that was a project that we started with them, and basically he wanted something different, and we said, okay, it's going to cost this much, and more or less he said, well, what if we do a bunch of them? I said, great, let's do a bunch. So yeah, that you have to do that through Northwest Camera Co., but the lenses end up coming to us to be modified. Question, when do you get more lens service base units in stock? Any day now. We're just waiting on some of the PL lockdown parts. There's a whole section, a whole bin full of the giant red service base itself. We just need a couple more parts and then those will be ready to go. It was like that since I got it. Just curious as to why it was. Yeah, it's because they run on a cam system that's not very robust. It's a very thin cam with a very, I don't want to say cheap, it's a very low, how do I say this without insulting? It's a delicate cam follower, so it's not going to be as robust as something like a Cooke S4 that has a very robust cam system. It's 2 down. I think it's at like 99%. I might pull that off in a minute and show you guys what's coming up. I do want to switch over to lens hunting here. So let's real quick pull that up. Alright, so actually before I even do that, let's go through, someone said Leica R to LPL. That's it, that's the only one. Ugh, that does not look good. I mean, it'll probably work, but that's some shoddy quality there. This adapter works like this. The front bayonet lets the Leica lens in. The reverse bayonet tightens the lens. Attach M3 grub screws. Okay, right there, right off the bat. Any mount that is held in place with a grub screw is not a good idea. I'm sure it'll work. None of these sample photos are Leica R lenses. Even these, well, there you go. That's one photo. Eesh, I don't know. It might work. I would not trust it It says infinity focus works, so I don't know, maybe. But 145 bucks, that's pretty cheap. If it was from even a cheap adapter like PhotoDiox, I'd say sure, give it a shot. But the fact that it's just some... Who is this guy? Yeah, this is... I probably wouldn't risk it unless you really, really needed to. But like I said before, then you're locked into LPL. I mean, what's the point at that point? So let's see what happens when we just look for regular old Leica R prices. So one of the first things I always do is I check that box that I just did, the sold and completed listings. So this is what lenses are actually selling for. So that used to have 114 fronts for the Otis, but now they're only offering 95. Maybe there's a way to custom order the 140. No, those are gone for good. That was a Phil Holland special back in the day. They just had too many issues. They were way too expensive to manufacture. So we pulled the plug on them after the most recent batch. So I don't think we'll be making more, at least not the bayonet style. We might release a 114 threaded front adapter for the Otis lenses. Can you convert contact Zeiss lenses to LPL? I know you can't convert them to PL. Is it possible to LPL? It's the same issue as Leica R to LPL. It's probably doable, but it's a very, very small difference in flange depth, which means it would be not super secure. It wouldn't be as robust as we would like, so it might be possible. I would have to look into it a lot more. Anyway, so let's look for some of these. These are all Summicrons. I want a Summilux. So we're still looking at sold items. So these are the completed listings. So these are what the lenses are actually selling for, which is a really good way to get an idea of what the values are. So optical mint, 81.4. That's high. So opt mint implies that the body is not as good as it could be. Yes, Johnny, we just started lens hunting. I'm waiting for my print to finish here. Oh, it finished. Let me grab that real quick. I'll show you guys that in a minute. It looks like it came out okay. Anyway, all right, so let's look at this and see if it's actually the way they describe it. Oh, okay. Right away. They didn't even bother cleaning the lens off. So the body of this lens is in pretty terrible condition. It's covered in dust, covered in grime. The engravings look like they've been attempted. There's somebody attempted to repaint them. Yeah, it's very dusty. The whole lens, all these crevices have dust in them. Oh, tons of scratches. Oh my gosh. So, it says optically mint. No. This is decades worth of cleaning scratches. And what did this sell for? $2,300 it sold for. Wow. So please check photos. There is no fog, there is no fungus, there is no problem in the shooting. There is no scratches. That is an absolute lie. I don't know if that's showing up on the stream. I don't know if you guys can see that, but yeah, that is tons of scratches. So those both sold for $2,300. One on February. This is the same lens. Same serial number. That's weird. 51.4. That's the older model. Oh no, that's 3 cam. So this from Hong Kong, this one sold for even more. That's almost $3,500. More character, yeah, exactly. So this lens is way cleaner right off the bat. Well, so they photoshopped out the serial number. That's a huge red flag. See this 3399? It looks like they took off the last 4 digits here. Why? Yeah, there it is. See, you can see the little Photoshop marks. The clone tool. The lens looks like it's in good shape. I don't know why they would want to... actually, I take that back. Okay, that's a better view. Yeah, it looks like it's in really good condition. I don't know why they would want to hide the serial number. Unless it's stolen. Let's read the details. And they hid it there too. So, I don't know why. Slightly used, functions perfectly, minor signs of use. Yeah, there's not a lot of info. M&K camera. I don't know why they would hide the serial number. That doesn't make sense. But either way, it sold for $3,500. That's a lot. Cine-Mod by Duclos. Is it? It is. So, she's almost $5,000 for a 51.4. That's an old mod, too. Very old. We stopped doing that sticker a long time ago. M&K removed the last serials on all their eBay listings. Why? Yeah, vintage lens with vintage mods. It's a good point. So who is this seller? Leica Great Buy. Oh, I know them. Another 81.4. Doesn't say the condition. 81.4. A lot of 80 Sumoluxes. Here's a cheap 50. Let's see what this is doing here. Cheap. I say cheap very loosely. 1,500 for a vintage lens isn't cheap, but it's lower than the other ones we've just seen. And this looks to be in really good condition. Surprisingly good condition. Wow. So this was sold okay. Citadel? Not Citadel, Citadel Studios. That sounds familiar. This is coming from a collection that everything was purchased new and never used. Huh. Wow. Has a larger image circle coverage circle because of the large glass. So that is why many cine and video shoot this. So that's wrong. That's completely wrong. M lenses are full frame just like the R lenses are. That's inaccurate. But whatever. Yeah, so somebody got this lens for a bargain. This looks like it's in really good condition. It was in Canada. There's another high one, a 51.4 for 3,500. Oh, oh man. Someone actually got an R8. Wow. R8 camera with Sumolux 51.4. This person did not know what they were selling. That's kind of sad. Huh. Wait, it still had film in it. Oh, wow. Oh, geez, with the box? I wish I had seen this. That's insane. Well, let's go back to non-completed listings and see if we could find any gems. The problem with me doing the lens hunting on the stream is that you guys see this and then you go buy stuff out from underneath me. That happened at one of the last ones. I think Phil was here for that. I still suspect Phil bought it, but probably not. That... what? $14,000 for a 35-1.4. I mean, it does look like it's never been touched. Maybe not. It's got some brassing. The 35-1.4 is notorious for that because the rear sticks out so far. Wow, this is beautiful. It's from Japan, Osaka. Who's selling this? Eco-free. Okay. I'm currently eyeballing Lights Primes. What do you mean, the Cine, the dedicated Cine ones? Those are beautiful. There we go. There it is. Some old guy is selling his Leica R. The RE. I'm not familiar with the RE. That's weird. Virtual Camera Boutique. It doesn't say if it works or not. It just says battery might need replacement. The T18 cinema glass. Oh, those are absolutely beautiful, Phil. All right, that's enough hunting. I'm gonna get in trouble if I keep looking. I'll go over this real quick. This was what was printing in the background all afternoon or all morning. I actually haven't tried this type of support before, so I'm curious. But this is a revised version of a product we've been making for years. And anytime we make a product, anytime we revise a product, we always 3D print it first. Oh no! I lost some of my threads. So it didn't print perfectly, but it's a super simple part. We've made it for probably 10 years, but it was time to give it a little update. But it's a really simple 80mm clamp-on with a 77mm filter thread at the front. I'll have to get these threads off later, but that's all it is. So if you had a lens that didn't have filter threads at the front, an 80mm lens, you would just clamp that on there, and then you'd be able to thread in 77mm filters. And then it also has an 80mm front surface as well. So if you wanted to clamp another 80mm device on the front, you could. So it's not new. We've been making them for a long time. It's just slightly revised. Different clamping mechanism that works a lot better, or should work a lot better. So I'll have to clean that up and get the hardware for it. Anyway, that about does it. This is a mess now. Hold on. Oh, and we have, it's not official, but we have new service mats coming in soon. Have you or anyone in chat done any lens hunting overseas, especially Japan? I have. I did do lens hunting in Japan, in Akihabara, and I forget where else. It wasn't super successful. By the time I was doing it, all the dealers there know. So there's no bargains to be had anymore. You know, you walk into those shops and they've got a case dedicated to Leica, and then you go to the Leica R section, and the prices are still sky high. They know exactly what they have. None of them have, like, you're not going to go into a shop and be like, oh, here's this old lens, and it's half the price as it would be in the US. They're all through the roof. I think there's a new batch of service trays coming too. And again, I don't mean to make this a giant promo thing, but there's also a Service Tray Pro that we'll probably start promoting soon-ish. Do vintage lenses even make sense still with the prices as high as they are getting? I mean, yes and no. The prices aren't going to go down, and there's not going to be any more vintage lenses, so supply and demand. All right, I'll call it there for today. Thank you guys for tuning in, and I'll see you next week.